We've reached another binarversary. 2 to the 9th episodes down. We've lapped the Famicom's data handling twice. 512 episodes is a bit too much for me to assemble a big montage for, and we have a much more significant milestone coming up in about a week. So moving on quickly from that, I do have a very special game for this outing, because with Kyuukyoku Tiger, Micronics actually made a halfway decent game. I'll pause a few moments for you to recover. Now, it probably helps that the original arcade version of Kyuukyoku Tiger was designed by Toaplan. It was a sequel to their Twin Eagle shooter that Micronics also ported to the Famicom, and was the start of a long run of exceptional shoot-'em-ups by Toaplan. Micronics has been responsible for a lot of bad shoot-'em-ups that I've had to play, so maybe the old saying is true. You have to make 5 bad shoot-'em-ups before you can make one passable one. As far as I can tell, there is no story in Kyuukyoku Tiger. You've got a helicopter, there's some enemy forces, go destroy things. The Famicom version has 10 stages, and unlike the original arcade, there's no loop, so you can't just keep playing forever with it. The B button fires your main gun, while the A button drops a bomb that has a big lingering explosion. It'll hit an enemy multiple times, and importantly, the explosion destroys enemy bullets and can prevent enemies from firing. You start out with 3 of them, and they get refreshed if you die, so don't hesitate to use them. As you wage your war against the forces of, well, whoever they are, you'll sometimes come across large aircraft, and shooting these down will release a power-up. The S increases your firepower. There's 3 levels of shots that increase the number of bullets that come out when you fire. When you're at level 3 and shoot down one of those big enemies, then they might drop a weapon change. This will rotate through 4 different colors, and they can all change your weapon. The brown one, which is supposed to be yellow, causes you to fire in a huge spread. These bullets track in on people too. Green will cause your front gun to shoot out a long stream of bullets. It's probably the least useful of the weapons. Blue will give you a spread shot, and red returns your gun to the default. Each of those sub-weapons can also be powered up 3 times. Increasing brown lets you shoot in an additional direction, increasing green makes the bullets fatter, and increasing blue causes more bullets to come out. I actually think that's a problem for blue because there's only so many bullets that can be on the screen at once, and so it can greatly reduce your rate of fire. There is no auto-fire in Kyuukyoku Tiger, so this is one of those games where you just have to mash. Once you're fully powered up, the large craft might also drop additional bombs for you. While you're flying around and shooting up enemies, sometimes you'll be able to target something on the ground. Destroying this leaves behind a bonus item, and if you can make it to the end of the stage without dying, you get 3,000 points for each of those you collected. And let's talk about death here, because you will die a lot. Unlike the arcade version, in the Famicom version of Kyuukyoku Tiger, you respawn exactly where you were. It's only when you continue that you go backwards. You start out with 3 lives and get an extra one at 50,000 points. You also have 6 credits to continue with. You've probably noticed that the screen scrolls horizontally as well as vertically, and that leads to one of the bigger problems with Kyuukyoku Tiger. Enemies that are off-screen don't fire bullets, and you have to get pretty close to the edge of the screen to make it scroll horizontally. What can happen is you scroll a bit to the side, the enemy that was there scrolls in and fires their bullet immediately, and then you're hit before you can even react. This is a difficult enough game without that added complication. Bullets are fast, there's a lot of them, and it's not like there's a real pattern in most cases. Even the boss bullet patterns don't leave you with a lot of wiggle room. On some stages, you'll just be facing down a constant flood of enemies. Even with the generous credits, this is a pretty tough shooter. Getting knocked back to square one every time you get hit makes it even more tricky. Although there isn't much of an advantage to using a weapon other than the default gun. The brown option might be slightly better, but you're really not missing out on much, at least in terms of firepower. The thing that gets Japanese players about this port of Kyuukyoku Tiger is that it's a pretty big step down. Famicom ports are always going to be a step down, of course, but there was already a really good port on the PC Engine out when this cartridge was released. And even with a later Mega Drive port, that's the version that's really worth playing. Even with the compromises needed to bring this to the Famicom, though, I think it's a solid game. I can think of a few improvements, like maybe scrolling when the player's in the middle of the screen rather than at the side. It is one of the better shoot 'em ups we've seen on the Famicom so far. Who knew Micronics had it in them?